Correction, two teams from the East still to go, ODU, and of course we'll have Western Kentucky to wrap things up. Plus, after that, we'll have a couple of former NFL players talking about Conference USA and football. But joining us now from ODU, their head coach, Bobby Wilder. Always a pleasure, my brother.
Great to see you, Ron. Thanks for having us.
Hey,
Appreciate it.
Great to have you here. And also Isaac Weaver. We got the greatest trivia question just now. First offensive lineman that ODU has ever brought to Media Day. Do they give you a plaque or anything?
I wish. We'll give him an extra steak.
There you go. And he's going to be playing a couple of positions this year. Also, Lawrence Garner, linebacker, had a breakout season last year. Led Conference USA in tackles per game at over 11. Bobby, I want to talk about last season. It was a frustrating for you because you had the big win, obviously, over a Power 5 school.
Right.
But talk about the frustration last year.
It had a lot to do with we underperformed as a coaching staff, as players. A lot of injuries, Ron, particularly in that senior class.
Oh, yeah.
It felt like everybody was hurt during the year. But we've put that behind us. Our theme now, Ron, is new team, new year, and I'm excited to move forward with these two and their teammates.
Well, you have a couple of new coaches. You have a bunch of new players. That has to be a little refreshing now. It's clean the air on it.
It is, and the fact, Ron, that it reminds me so much of when we first joined the league in 2013. We had this major transition. We're going to have 48 new players on our team this year between the grad transfers, the junior college players, the high school players, 4 new coaches. So it is truly a new team and a new year.
Well, the positive part of the offense last year is you went up over 10 points a game. That was the largest jump of anybody in Conference USA. What was the key to that jump?
Well, last year it had so much to do with the ability to protect up front with Isaac and the offensive linemen, and we were a throw team. Last year we had so many injuries, Ron, at the running back position, and we know we need to be able to run the ball a little bit more, but we had a lot of success through the air last year, especially with those momentum, explosive plays.
Well, you talk about the running game. They averaged just over 130 yards rushing, and I know that's not satisfactory to you, but you brought in Brian Steinspring from Virginia Tech. He's going to be the run game coordinator.
Right.
Talk about what he brings to the table.
Yeah, Brian's he's coached for 30 years. He's been successful everywhere he's been. As you mentioned, former coordinator at Virginia Tech, and he'll work very well with what we have as a veteran offensive staff. He and Brian Scott will work together with the offensive line and the tight ends. And the biggest thing that we'll get is that veteran presence, knowledge of coaching, and ability to make adjustments on game day.
Is there a fine line between retooling the offense and tweaking the offense?
My philosophy has always been this, Ron. You play to the strength of your players. Last year, for example, our quarterback, Blake LaRussa, was a thrower. This year, whoever wins that quarterback position is going to have the ability to run. We're going to play more 12-man football, similar to 2016 when David Washington was our quarterback and we won 10 games. So we'll emphasize more of the run aspect of it. This year, play to the strength of your players, and that's what we'll do.
Let's talk about quarterback because Stephen Williams coming back. He was an All-Conference USA freshman in 2017. In fact, in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, he was the youngest player in the FBS to start a game.
Yeah.
How has he matured in that offseason in 2018?
Yeah, the biggest part of the development with Steve was the injury. He had a shoulder injury, so the surgery, the rehab. We were fortunate in that we were able to redshirt Steven this past year.
But he played 4 games, right?
He did. He played 4 games. He started the Virginia Tech game, and then Blake came in that game. But now, Ron, with that redshirt season, a year older, he's healthy. He looks great this summer. He'll certainly be in the mix along with Stone Smart, junior college player, joined us in January. He was the player of the year in California last year in junior college, as well as Messiah DeWeaver, quarterback who led East Mississippi to the national championship, also joined us in January, and then redshirt freshman Jonah Fitzgerald. So there's 4 players that are going to compete for the job.
Well, I had strict instructions when I was walking out of the house this morning from my wife. Do not say that ODU has a Messiah. She said that'd be a groaner. I said, I'm going to get it in anyway.
You got it in, and you blamed your wife for it.
Yeah, I blame my wife for it. Really, she's not watching. I'm good on that. You lost 92% of your receptions last year. Who has to step up this year?
We've always had the ability at Old Dominion to throw and catch the football. That's something we've been able to develop, and we have a core of young players, some that played last year, some that played before and redshirted, that I feel very confident will step into the role. We added a couple transfer players, Eric Kuma from Virginia Tech, who was their second leading receiver, Chris Cunningham, tight end, joined us. So with the players we have returning and those two veteran presence coming in, I'm confident we'll have success throwing the ball.
Talk about defense. Is that something that has got to really improve immensely this year?
It does, and I'm confident we're going to have that transformation with David Blackwell coming in, our new defensive coordinator, the coaches that joined him, with Lawrence Garner at linebacker. We brought in some veteran players. We have a good nucleus of players within our current team that have developed. I feel really good about where we're going defensively this year.
Well, David Blackwell had great success, if you don't know, at East Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, also Jacksonville State. So he's got a reputation. But when he came in, he said one of the things he promised some personnel changes. That creates competition, does it not?
It has, and that's what's happened in the transformation of our defense from his arrival through spring ball. What we're doing this summer is that competition that we have there, and the players are looking at it in a good way because they want to perform better, Ron. They want to play better football on defense, and they know we're capable of doing that.
Now, he plays an aggressive 4-2-5. Do you have the personnel to do that?
We do, and it's a very aggressive
4-2-5. I remember that.
Very aggressive, yeah. And our players have already taken to the system. They like it. They like the idea of playing fast, aggressive football.
Well, a couple of things. You have a couple of converted players. Obviously, Keon White will move to defensive end, if I'm not mistaken. And your son, Derek, he's going to move from linebacker to defensive end. The transition for him has to be good.
It is. It's something that he's worked incredibly hard this offseason. He's at 265 pounds. He squatted nearly 600 pounds. His strength is back. I'm excited for him and his opportunity this year. And the move you mentioned, Keon White, who was a redshirt freshman tight end for us last year, very physical, athletic player. And the reason for the move, as I talked to Keon, is that he could have a bigger impact in helping our team on defense at defensive end than he could at the tight end position, and he unselfishly agreed to that move.
He's responded to it, though, because it's probably going, wait a minute, now I'm going, I could catch passes, now I've got to hit people.
Well, the way I described it to him is you can hit somebody every play in any manner you would like, and he thought that was pretty good.
Now, you look at the secondary, and you read the personnel, and you go down everything. I think you've got a lot of options back there. Is that a fair question?
It is a fair statement to make between returning players that we had, younger players who were developing, junior college players that joined us in January, and then a couple of graduate transfers that we just enrolled. There's depth, and there's going to be tremendous competition.
Well, let's talk to Isaac Weaver, first offensive lineman from ODU to come to Media Day, which I think is a big deal. 2 straight years you've started. Now, you're not going to be you've been working out at more than just one position, right? Tell us about that and the differences.
I've in spring I worked a little bit at guard, and then more recently I've been working a little bit at center. I've talked to Coach Wilder, Coach Scott. They think that I can be a flexible player, and I agree with that. And the more positions I can play, I think the better our offensive line will be. Hopefully get the best 5 we can on the field.
Do you have to adapt a different mindset between the two positions, or are they basically the same?
I think a little bit for center. You have a lot more responsibility. You're in charge of making all the calls, making sure that everyone's on the same page. Whereas at tackle and guard, you still need to be keyed into all that, but it's not necessarily your sole responsibility to make sure that all 5 are on the same page.
As the center, how important is it for you to be keyed in to Stephen Williams?
It's extremely important for Stevie, for anyone as a quarterback. The quarterback and the offensive line, they must be on the same page, or else the offense is going to stall. We're not going to be able to move the ball. As long as we're on the same page, keyed up on the right people, everything will be okay.
Talk about 3 sisters you had. You have a softer side then, obviously.
I guess so. Yeah. Erin, Megan, and Erica. I love them all. We're all off. We're all pretty much in college now, doing our own things. But it was definitely an interesting time growing up with them.
Were you the protective big brother?
I was. I'm in the middle of all.
In the middle of them. Yeah. But still, the protective brother then.
Yeah, of course. I had to be.
Really. I don't think anybody's going to mess with you. Let's talk to Lawrence Garner, linebacker. I think he had a breakout season last year. Led Conference USA in tackles per game with 11. Talk about last year and how much you improved to get to the point where you can lead the conference in tackles per game.
I think it was more just doing the right things and being great at the small things, like watching film, knowing what's going on at practice, knowing what plays, what clips we're gonna watch, and just learning the system all in all. And then outside of that, just knowing what the two guys next to me are doing, that just made everything so much easier. So I knew when I had to spill a block or contain a block, or I knew when I could take a risk, and I knew I could, shoot a gap and know I have help on both sides of me. So it's just being great at the little things and studying the film and, putting a little bit of extra work in.
Do you like the aggressive 4-2-5 because now you're becoming a focal point of that defense?
Yeah, I like how
you hesitated. Hang on, you hesitated there.
I like how I could play downhill with, less responsibility. I can get in my gap. I can go for more riskier TFLs. I could, there's a lot more matchup zones, a lot more man-to-man. So I think I'm not just dropping to a spot. I'm kind of, getting to my spot and then covering who's in my area, or, trying to take away that passing option. So it's been a lot of fun throughout the spring and summer learning the playbook and just having fun with it.
Does that increase your time you're going to have to watch film, though?
Of course. Well, it was going to increase regardless if I wanted to get better and have a better season this year. So film work is always it's a must. It's a necessary. Every great player has to do it, whether you like it or not. I don't think no great player can be great without watching film. So, and then not only my film time, but just the guys in my position, the guys who I live with, bringing them to study the film and trying to get them to see things from a different perspective as well. So.
Now, Bobby, you've always said, and you told me when you first joined Conference USA, aim high. Mm-hmm. Still one of the mottos?
Absolutely, yeah. That's how we operate.
Oh, there it is. Yeah,
Old Dominion. There it is. Yep. See that? We got that right on the front of the helmet. Yeah, it's a program philosophy. We stick by it. We stay to it. Trying to be great at everything you do.
Okay, two questions I've been asking all the coaches. Number one, the targeting rule. Obviously, you probably like it. The fact they're using replay now, but your thoughts on that?
Anything that's for player safety, I'm all for. I do like the fact now that for somebody like Lawrence, for example, that's an aggressive physical player, when there is contact, say he makes contact, he's tackling a running back, and there's a massive collision, that there's at least going to be some fairness involved, that he's not out there trying to hurt anybody, the running back's not trying to hurt him. So I like the rule. I like the fact we're being flexible with it.
Okay, now one of the things we've talked a lot about is the transfer rule and the portal. Are you in favor of it, or does it need tweaking?
I am in favor of it. I think it's fair to give the players some options. We just need to all do a better job to continue to educate the players on how it works. Just the little things, Ron, like, okay, all your credit hours might not go to this school. You might go from being a junior to a sophomore to getting the players to better understand what the risks are if you leave. But I'm all for the ability for the players to have some options.
I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that Foreman Field, obviously going under a renovation. Give us the update, and is it going to be ready?
Kornblau Field at SB Ballard Stadium will be ready, Ron. It's going to be just a fantastic venue. It'll be 22,000. We wanted to keep it somewhat intimate, like we had to keep the sellouts. It's closer, it's higher, it's going to be louder. These guys are excited about it, as am I.
And it's going to be ready for the season then, right?
It is. August 31st, we open at home, and it's going to be ready to go.
Well, I keep checking the website because that was, I like the old stadiums.
Yeah,
and then they get the new stuff, and I go, I'm not too sure about it, but I'm glad you went 22,000. That's perfect.
Yeah, we wanted to keep it as close to what Foreman Field was in the past, but then also provide that great venue that our fans and everybody at Old Dominion deserves.
Still, the prettiest drive is from the airport to your school.
It is special.
I'm telling you, if you ever get a chance to go there, you got to visit a gorgeous campus. Coach,
great
to see you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We
Gentlemen,
appreciate it.
Best luck this year and stay healthy. When we come back, we will turn our attention to another new head coach in Conference USA as we look at Western Kentucky. Stay with us.